Matt Hunt here with MDH Technologies. Happy New Year. It's 2014, first video of the year, and basically today's topic will be IT planning for the new year. Um, that's something probably we should have done before 2014, but as you know, because of vacation scheduling and maintenance and other things that are planned during the holidays, especially when people are out of the offices and things like that. A lot of these types of things don't get to happen when they should. So today we're talking about IT planning in the new year. And this is going to be a very generic video. We won't get too specific about things. Everybody's plan would be different depending upon your environment. One environment may need an awful lot of planning and an awful lot of changes and things in the new year. Another environment may not. So everything that we're going to discuss is really on a very generic basis, and we're really only kind of touching on the subject today. The first thing that I'll go over is the age of your systems, and what I'm really talking about here today is more in terms of hardware. How old are your servers? How old are your laptops, your desktops? Okay, things don't last forever. Typically, we recommend that a laptop be used for about 3 years until you start thinking about replacing it, or at least budget a replacement. A desktop can possibly go 4 years. A server can go 5, 6, depending upon some various factors. So if you buy the cheapest of the cheap, many times things won't last quite as long as if you buy middle of the road or a higher end piece of hardware, and that goes with basically everything we're discussing here: laptops, servers, desktops, mobile devices, so on and so forth. Don't upgrade too soon, as that will certainly kill your budget and probably upset your accounting department. So certainly want to use things until they're no longer useful to you, and that includes repurposing old hardware. And we could probably do an entire video on repurposing hardware. We may do that later this year. So thinking about just the age of your hardware is an important factor. The other factor I'd like to touch on is the age of your operating system or your software that you're running on your machines. So one of the big things these days is Windows XP. You hear everybody saying, oh, Windows XP is not going to be supported anymore. Well, that's the truth. If you're running Windows XP on anything, you really need to consider migrating immediately. There will no longer be patches, updates, other security releases for the operating system from Microsoft for Windows XP. So that's necessary that you go ahead and migrate immediately for that. There's also a lot of software, new versions of things that we've been seeing that aren't compatible with Windows XP. So if you're getting a new version of an accounting product or some industry-specific software that you use that can't run on Windows XP, don't be surprised. Don't want to find yourself in a position where you get a new version of something or a new software package, go to install it, and then can't because your hardware is old, and then find out that you need to do a migration or buy a new piece of equipment. Okay, what that's going to do is throw off the budget for whatever that project was to implement the new software, the upgrade. It's going to mess up the timetable. Okay, so proper planning is important when it comes to your information technology. So hardware should definitely be replaced. But once again, repurposing is a good idea. I always recommend replacing something before it dies rather than replacing it after it dies, because then you're thinking about data recovery, restoring information. All of these things are expensive and time consuming and frustrating to have to deal with. So Replacing something before it actually dies is a good idea, and then repurposing that hardware for a non-mission critical role is something that you can discuss with your IT professional. The other major topic of discussion here is the age of your back office systems. Okay, this is more in terms of software. So, what are you running for accounting? What version is it? Have you skipped versions? Is there a migration path from the version you've got now to the next version? Okay, so don't skip too many versions of your accounting software, or any software for that matter, because you may get into a position where there's no clean path to do that. And then you're talking about more expense, more time, incompatibility issues, and all kinds of other things that you probably don't want to have to deal with. So considering the age of your systems in terms of the software that you're using is very, very important. Okay, and that's accounting. CRM is another one. What are you using for CRM? Once again, what version do you have now? Have you skipped several versions? And is there a clean migration path from that version to the new version? Okay. Another discussion that's good to have with your IT professional or internally there at your office is when thinking about upgrading to a new version of a product, that is the best time to consider a new product altogether. So rather than going to, if you're on version 9 of something now and you're thinking about going to version 10, ask yourself, does the program, the applications, whatever it is, the back office systems that you're using meet all of your needs? Does it meet your budget? And does it satisfy all your requirements? If not, now is a good time to start researching alternatives. What are the price of them? What's the migration going to cost you? How long would it take? Is it compatible with the hardware I've got? What is it going to do for me going forward? So on and so forth. So now is really a very good time to have discussion, to put a general plan together, and then work towards implementing the plan. Backups is another important thing that happens every night that should be happening every night in your environment that doesn't really get, in my opinion, enough attention. So let's say you've got the best backup software in the world. That's fantastic. Let's say it runs every night. Let's say you've got alerting and emails so you know when things are backed up, when things are not backed up. That's great. But what typically happens in an environment over a year, 2 years, 3 years is new network shares are created, new data is added, new resources are allocated. Okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all of those things are being captured in your backup. Just because there's a backup job created and a backup job that runs every night doesn't mean that it's going to get everything. So going in to look at the backup schedule, reviewing the backup logs to make sure things are running properly, and looking at the backup job to make sure that it's going to capture everything that it should, and then making adjustments as appropriate. Super, super important to do to verify what you're doing for your backup solution. Antivirus is another one. Okay, what do you have now? Did it do a good job for you last year? What about the performance? Something that often happens with antivirus products is that they perform very well in the beginning, but then over time the performance sort of degrades. Okay, we've seen this in many different products, which is why I'm always evaluating new antivirus solutions for our customers, so we can fit you with something that not only works very well but performs very well as well. So questions to ask yourself there: what antivirus am I using? Did it do a good job for me last year? Am I updated? When is the renewal? If it's a perpetual thing, obviously you're not under the gun to switch as quickly as you would be if it was not a perpetual kind of subscription. So backups and antivirus, very important. What's your strategy going forward? Okay, so there are always trends in information technology. Everybody by now knows the term cloud and virtualization and so on and so forth. Are you doing any of those things? Are you in the cloud now? Are you virtualized now? If you're not, how could those benefit you? But also, how would they not benefit you? Okay, so you want to have both sides of the discussion there. Security. What are you doing for security? How old are your firewalls? Is there any active protection there? Any active services there that need to be renewed? VPN security for your remote workers, things of this nature. So once again, replacing things before they're actually dead is typically a good idea because you're going to avoid outages and budgeting issues and just other frustrations that go along with things breaking. That basically covers a lot of what you'd want to discuss in IT planning for the new year with either your IT professional or internally there at your office or both. So I would urge you to have that discussion, and I appreciate you joining us here today. Certainly there will be more videos about other things here coming in the months and weeks ahead, and I hope that you'll join us for some of those. Once again, Matt with MDH Technologies.